If anybody knows what the Warzone was, like from the early 90s, I guess, or 80s, I mean...
Because all I can find on it is Call of Duty stuff, and if I search World Warzone Champion, Tony Longo comes up, but it doesn't talk about what it is. And we're sort of coming to the consensus that, maybe it was a actual fighting thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll see. He's a cool dude, unfortunate passing, and I heard a rumor once that he got struck by lightning in the mouth. Now, we get to the biggest scene chewer of all. Vincent Craig Dupree, Faster Brown, was in the movie South Central as a lead character. Not a lead character, but a prominent character. But my favorite thing he's done...
Yeah, I think both of us probably.
He... If you remember the movie, the classic, Jason Takes Manhattan. Marcus, do you remember the storyline of Jason Takes Manhattan? Because it escapes me.
Yeah, so the high school kids are on the it's like a high school trip or maybe graduation, if I remember correctly. They're on the boat, and the boat like goes over an electrical line in the water in the Hudson, and it electrocutes Jason to bring him back to life. And Jason, he's like, well, fuck it, I'm near Manhattan. Why not go?
A lot of people here.
Yeah, a lot of people. And he just roams the streets of Manhattan, killing people, and eventually gets on the boat. But yeah, the whole scenes in Manhattan are so much fun. It's just so fun to see like him in that atmosphere. And then, of course, Craig Dupree.
Movie poster. Do you remember the movie poster where it's like eye and the heart has Jason ripping through it?
Yeah.
Blank knee. Yeah. Oh, man, it's good. Describe the... I haven't watched it in a while, but I imagine you've seen it more than me. The rooftop fight scene that Vincent Dupree is what I know him as.
Yeah, so in that, like, I mean, it's a fun fight with him and Jason, and it's, of course, ends with the uppercut to the head and knocking off his head.
And the fact that he decides to box him.
Yeah.
It's just, he starts jabbing him and hooking him, and it's just really funny. And then Jason, like Marcus said, uppercuts his head directly off his body. So that's sort of the cast. There is Benny the Jet Uriquez, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, who's a legit badass kickboxer, won all sorts of titles. His karate studio is the sort of the den of Dalton's criminal organizations.
Right.
And man, is it not great?
It is.
It's something we're missing in movies, that we don't get more people taking advantage of karate schools to make money.
I don't know why that trope has not been, just
we gotta bring it back.
Yeah, we do. There's so much meat left on that bone to do that we can play with.
Well, we'll go over it but basically Dalton Rhodes, the character that David Carradine plays, is using his karate school to train his car thieves and all this stuff. It's great idea.
It is, yeah.
So that's the cast. I want to talk a little bit about the production staff because I found it pretty interesting. Written by Richard Brandes, who's in the movie. You know who he is?
Who does he play? Who does he play?
He plays the guy that we commented on who looks like Dax Shepard.
Oh,
Detective Willis. Yes, with the spiky mullet and the great beard and like a tan suede jacket.
Yeah.
He also wrote the screenplay for Martial Law 2. He's also written a few other things that we'll talk about. But what I found interesting is the name Kurt Anderson. There's these three guys, Richard Brandes, Steve Cohen, who directed it, and Kurt Anderson. They do all their movies pretty much together, I found.
Huh.
So Kurt Anderson doesn't have much to do with the first Martial Law, but does direct the second Martial Law. Kurt Anderson does. And Kurt Anderson is also involved in several other movies, which we'll talk about with Steve Cohen here.
Right.
There's another Steve Cohen that I sort of researched for a while, and I was like, this can't be the same guy, and he's Billy Joel's lighting designer. So I was reading all the... And on his IMDb page, which is why IMDb is a bit iffy, like, they had all these Billy Joel live concert DVDs. It's like, lighting... And I was like, oh, man, this guy, what a strange career this guy's had.
Right.
But no, not the same guy. He was a second unit director, which is how he makes a lot of his money and does a lot of his stuff, it seems, in the past, on Goonies, Back to School, Invasion USA with Chuck Norris, where we sort of get invaded by the Russians, Mission of Justice, of course, with Jeff Wincott, Martial Outlaw with Jeff Wincott, and a really fun-sounding movie, One Tough Bastard. One Tough Bastard stars Brian Bosworth, Bruce Payne from Passenger 57 fame, and a fun, apparently, MC Hammer's in there too. He worked as a second unit director for Kurt Anderson twice on Martial Outlaw and One Tough Bastard. He directed and co-wrote, Stephen Cohen did, directed and co-wrote Tough and Deadly, starring Rowdy Roddy Piper and Billy Blanks. That also had a producing credit for Richard Brandes, I believe, or Kurt Anderson. And then directed Devil in the Flesh, which also had story credits and producing credits for all three of them, Kurt Anderson, Richard Brandes, and Steve Cohen, starring Rose McGowan, about a young girl who gets possessed and has to fight off the devil. And Steve Cohen was also a producer on Martial Law, too. So find yourself a group of people you like working with.
No shit. I mean, it's like the early '90s version of Seth Rogen, all those guys just all making movies together,
just all making straight to video action and horror movies.
Yeah.
And then he had a role as Alec in The Bounty Hunter, starring Lorenzo Lamas, which was directed by Kurt Anderson.
What year did the Bastard movie come out?
1995.
Wow. Okay. That sounds like a fun one to watch, man. Bosworth in it and everything, too. And Payne,
let's see.
Bruce Payne.
Let's get an overview. When a man's wife and family are murdered, gotta be.
Yep.
He plots revenge only to find out the killer is under federal protection. And so guess what? He must exact his own form of revenge.
Sometimes you gotta.
And justice, yeah. If the man you want to kill is being protected by the country you serve, what do you do? And that is the cast and crew of Martial Law. This film is 89 minutes, shot in L.A., released May 16th, 1991. Now, this is a big time, as I said, for VHSs. I want to give you an idea of how big VHSs are, straight to video.
Right.
Let's take American Ninja.
Yeah.
Had no theatrical American release, had overseas release. 70,000 individual VHS cassettes were sold to retail stores. So, you assume that's $90 a pop?
$90 for a VHS. Yeah, God, that's crazy.
That movie probably cost between $500,000 to $800,000 to produce.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
No wonder they're doing these things.
Yeah.
You know? Then you have Missing in Action. Chuck Norris, granted, but still.
Yeah.
129,000 units. Once again, maybe with Chuck Norris, let's say it's a $2 million movie.
Yeah.
You're still crushing it. My God. And then Delta Force with Chuck Norris, I believe, also 160,000 units. No wonder this guy's just doing direct-to-video stuff.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, the back end of that, just think about, I'll take, during this time, you could say, if you're Chuck Norris, I'll take $800,000 or a $500,000 paycheck, but I want the percentage on the back end for sales for these movies. Yeah.
So, assuming that Delta Force sold 160,000 units at $90, that's $14 million.
Yeah.
Off maybe a $2 million. That's a $12 million profit. If Chuck Norris gets his, let's say, okay, I'm going to get $150,000 for this, but I want 10% of the back, he's crushing it.
Yeah, that's huge.
So I don't know. I imagine the budget for Martial Law was, I say $500,000 to $800,000 because Cynthia Rothrock mentions that in her interview. She says the highest budget film she ever did in the States was $2.5 million. And that most of hers were under $1 million to make, which is crazy to think about. And then Above the Law was the big video sale in the 90s, or 1990 or 89, I believe, which was 170,000 units. So this is, I pulled a quote from about the McDonald's thing. So what happened was McDonald's somehow secured the rights to sell Dances with Wolves. But at the time, it was a rental title in the video stores. This is insane. So when rental demand slows, prices are often lowered to $20 to buy it.
Right.
Or you can buy it from the retailer. Like if you want to, I need a couple more copies of Dances with Wolves, but it's been out for 3 months, you only have to pay $20. When Dances with Wolves went on sale at McDonald's, the retail price was $99.98. That's when Dances with Wolves was first released on VHS. That's how you could purchase it. However, at McDonald's, the price was $7.99 to purchase Dances with Wolves.
So So I don't understand like the math in that. Like, are they during that time? Is McDonald's saying because you have so much, you're the Netflix of the '90s. You're swimming in money. You can throw away money probably during this time if you're McDonald's. Are you just paying whoever who produced, or who was the company that put out Dances with Wolves? Was it Warner Brothers? Was it? I can't remember who it was. But anyways, are you just giving that company who has are you giving them like $100 million and saying we can sell it for however much we want to, and then trying to make your money back on it? And
now, one thing I think that might have happened, and I couldn't find much about the deal that was struck. I would imagine McDonald's was like, here's what we'll do. You give us a discount on the thing, because it's estimated that McDonald's sell 10 million copies.
Good Lord. 10 million copies?
Maybe 10 million sold is the number of VHSs sold in America, in the world.
Sure. Okay.
But McDonald's had a 4% market share of video sales, period. The film was released on home video in the United States in 1991 and beat the rental record set by Ghost.
Yeah.
I don't know what that record was, but listen to this. Dance with Wolves sold 649,000 units.
I wonder how much money McDonald's made from that then, too.
So that's $58 million they made on video rental. I guess I just didn't... I knew it was a big movie, but maybe I just didn't realize what a monster this film was, because the box office of this movie was $424 million.
You say $424 million?
Yes, $424 million. The budget was $22 million.
Good God.
This is a $500 million. Dancing with Wolves. Kevin Costner, we were talking about this when we started, before we started recording. Kevin Costner just fucking up the 90s.
Yeah, he was, man.
Just let me be nude.
Isn't that the secret then? Going back a little bit now, and of course, Dancing with Wolves with that budget, but you look like what we're talking about, straight-to-video budgets, and movies that are being made that are going straight to video. And during 90s, 91, I'm sure production companies were going straight to video, were trying to get it under $1 million, probably. I'm sure they were like, if we can get it under $1 million, we're set probably for straight to video sales, action, stuff like that we're doing. And it's just like now, I guess it's kind of died down a little bit, but with found footage, everybody, if you can find the cheapest way to make a movie, and if you can get that movie out, that's all that Hollywood is. It's just finding the least expensive way to make the movie. Yeah. And turning it around and getting that profit. It's just like, imagine having that McDonald's and the internet now. If you had those sales where to retail, Dances with Wolves was costing you $100 a pop to order from Warner Brothers or whoever it was, for that video cassette, $100 for Dances with Wolves. You can go into a McDonald's, get for $8 with a Big Mac, a Happy Meal, and something else. So you're spending $15 maybe total for a meal and a movie to own, and buying those. And if you had the internet now and eBay and getting those secondhand, like that secondhand market, to where you could pop those up to $90 a pop or $100, that would, even $80 to get some discount on it. Imagine that, like with Pokemon and baseball cards and stuff like that now, to where you're doing, that's just unbelievable to me.
And people sort of crap on the straight-to-video niche, but it was insanely profitable, and people still do it to some degree. Remember that documentary on Canon that was on Netflix, the Canon?
Yes, yeah.
And that's what they did. They were shooting 3 movies at a time, and they would try to keep them in like a week of production or something like that, and then flip him. You spend $500,000 on the entire I think they were talking about $75,000 for the entire thing, and then you hope you can sell 5,000 VHS copies. You're set,
right? Yeah,
man. We need to make some straight to VHS movies.
I think that's. But what corresponds to that now? Does anything correspond to that now? To where you can, besides getting in with. Nothing does. I
guess because you're not selling individual units, you're selling the product as one purchase to like a Netflix or a Amazon.
Exactly. The little man can't, like me and you, can't just make our own production company and put out movies because we don't have the vessel to do that. Now, without video cassettes, DVDs,